but because what we're going to talk about, you can't say on YouTube. So we're about to migrate. This is a pre-show. So you're ending the
Oh boy.
pre-show. Yeah, you're ending the pre-show, and I've told them that you have a very interesting story in that. I can't even show your Instagram because
Mm-mm.
they're crazy on YouTube, but everywhere else we're on Facebook, D Live, Twitter, Instagram. We're on a bunch of other platforms, so we're gonna get the word out there because your story is so interesting. But I just want to say goodbye to the YouTube audience because, guys, Brittany's story is incredible, and we're going to show links to her Instagram that is literally censored. And this woman right here is really brave, and she's so incredibly censored. If you even click her profile, it says she's restricted. So, what safe thing can you tell the YouTube
Yeah.
audience before we go, Brittany, that will encourage them to come watch the after show with us?
What safe thing?
I mean, what? Yeah, I mean, for YouTube, you can't really talk about what happened to your injury. You can't really talk about anything medical. But I mean,
Well, I mean, I think the most important thing is that I've realized is that, a lot of people message me and they say, they wish me death threats and this and that because they say I'm an anti-vaxxer. I don't know, is that safe, that
No,
word?
that's not. That's not. We want
But
to
I would
say on
say,
this stream here, we'll just say this. We're going to say goodbye and that we're pro CDC and that we love Anthony Fauci. He's the smartest guy ever in the world, and the CDC
oh,
is
okay, that
the
works.
CDC is the greatest organization ever. Oh, donation $5, and we love donations. And the CDC, Anthony Fauci, Jinping. We love China. We're going to move to China, but we're going to say goodbye to YouTube because we're pro vaccines. I vaccinate your life away. All right. What I'm saying is goodbye, YouTube. We're going to have to talk about this on Rockfin and all the other platforms. Okay, sorry about that, Brittany. Yes, I've gotten a bunch. Anything you say medical misinformation on YouTube, you get an absolute strike whatsoever. So I've had a bunch of strikes, but we're live on Twitch, Periscope, Facebook, D Live, and Rockfin, as well as Odyssey and Trovo. So we're getting the message out there, but I want to just start off by saying I know that's kind of a weird introduction. Thank you for coming on the Conspiracy Castle. Go ahead, tell us what happened to you, Brittany.
Well, I mean, I had the Moderna shot, both of them actually, and this is a little bit of my story kind of condensed, but the first shot that I had a couple of things happen to me, like my legs. I felt like I was walking through cement. I had tingles all over my body. I was feverish without the fever. I remember taking 5 hot baths that night. Like if you ever put yourself in like 105 hot tub because your muscles were so sore, that's what I felt like after the first one. So I probably should have stuck with my gut and not had the second one, but I didn't want it. I was pretty much pressured into it. By the time that I got the second one, I took the 14 days. So you're actually given, I think it's like 28 days in between the two, and technically you can have 14 days on top of that. I got mine like on the 13th or 14th day after that. Immediately, I did not have the same reaction that I had on the first one. So I thought, oh, no big deal. I'm okay. But then my lovely little brother sent me a video on like the ninth day after and was like, oh, I saw a video of somebody sticking a magnet to their arm. You should try this. And I thought it was, a hoax. I thought it was going to be a joke. And quite frankly, I thought it was just another, like I said, another hoax out there to try to, you know, I guess belittle the people that were against the vaccine, right? I thought it was going to be used as some kind of push. So I did it. And my 14-year-old son was standing next to me. And I was like, holy crap, like it's sticking to me. And so then my son was like, whoa, that's crazy. And so he started doing it. My husband was there. He started doing it. My 10-year-old started doing it to me. So then they like took out another magnet off of the fridge because this was just like it was like a little tiny square magnet. So they took one off the fridge and it worked. This was all before I had my seizure and before I got diagnosed and went to the hospital 3 times. Like this all led up to it. So at first it was just that little, very small magnet. But then as I kept doing it over and over and over again, the magnetism was getting stronger. So it has this thing where it pushes off the magnet. It like pushes it off of your skin and then it pulls it to you. So prior to my hospital stay, none of these could stick. I couldn't stick anything to my chest or my head or my other arm. It was only on the one arm. But what happened was I slept with one under a Band-Aid because somebody dared me to, basically. They were like, oh, well, I saw a video where somebody, had something pull towards the magnet. So I thought, again, it was going to be a hoax, but I was thinking it was funny. So I played into it and I slept with one under a Band-Aid. I woke up the next morning, I remember looking at the clock, 8:17 in the morning. and I couldn't see straight. My legs felt like they were cemented. My chest was like palpitating. I felt like I was, I was sweating, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. I ended up having to call 911. I fainted, my body seized up, and everything just went south from there.
So your body seized up. So what, did you get shallow breath? I mean, what kind of explain it? Like, how did you know that?
I started having shallow breath. My husband had just left, and I stood up to go downstairs. I have a 2-story house. I stood up to go downstairs, and I couldn't. It wasn't like the room was spinning. It was more like I felt like I was on a cruise ship that was on a bunch of waves, and my legs couldn't really move. Like they were so heavy, and they were tingly. It was like, have you ever had like too much NyQuil?
Yeah, I've had too much a lot of stuff, but yes, I understand.
Yeah.
So you felt
so
like
too much of a lot of stuff
yeah.
where your legs barely move. That's about how I felt. So I crawled down the stairs. I woke up on the floor, called 911. By the time they got there, my arms were like mangling up like this. I could not move them.
Shut your mouth. So they were like crunching up, and you couldn't even control it?
Couldn't control anything. The paramedics couldn't put them down either. They tried, like they were up like this. They were trying to push them, and they wouldn't go down. So that was the first hospital. The ambulance took me to the first hospital. I was there for 2 days. They did brain MRI, flashed anxiety on my, chart, and sent me home. That was the first one. Second one, day and a half, 2 days later, chest pains were still there. Still couldn't walk. I could walk, but it was like super heavy. The tingling was still going on. Headache was super bad. Went back to the hospital. Ended up admitting me again for 3 days. I think I was there that time. They ended up doing a spinal tap because they suspected Guillain-Barré. The one doctor was like, I suspect possibly Guillain-Barré. And he's like, let's go ahead and do a spinal tap. So they did the spinal tap. At that point is where you see the video of me sitting in the hospital bed, putting this stuff on my head, saying, hey, Lewis, look, I don't know if you've seen that one. I'm like, hey, Lewis, why is all this metal sticking to me? At that point is when all the nurses and the doctors started coming into my room on their own, because they must have been talking about it, asking me if they could put the metal on me.
The nurses said, can we test it?
Doctors, yes. They were all doing it to me. So as I had people commenting on my videos saying I was faking it, I had nurses and doctors saying, what is in you? To the point to where 2 different hospital stays, the first one and the second one, they ordered an x-ray of my arm because they thought that I had metal inside of my arm.
Wow. Did anything come up on the x-ray?
No, of course it says no foreign body found.
It's because you think it's nano. So what do you think it is, in your opinion, Brittany?
I think it's, the spike proteins and the SM102 and all of the different magnetism elements that are in the vaccine ingredients. That's what I think it is. I think that they're little nanoparticles, and I think they ball together. I've got a really good video on my Instagram. Also, there's a follower that I follow. Her name's healthdoll.co. I can send you the name so you can show your listeners. She's got a really good video that explains it. But I think that the little balls of the nanoparticles, they ball together. And so when I was, this is the arm that I had, and when I was putting a little piece of magnet on there, it's pulling all of those pieces to it. So the more I was doing it, the more they were coming to that area. When I went to the hospital, I had 3 MRIs and 2 CT scans where I was put into an MRI machine. So what I
had how many CT scans total?
2 CTs and 3 MRIs.
In that machine like that. So they had no idea what's wrong with you. And I don't even believe that machine can really tell you what's wrong with you. I mean, what did they look at? No. I mean, they just see clusters of cells in your body, I guess. I don't even know. What does an MRI tell you if you have an autoimmune disease?
It didn't. They were trying to find any reason of why I couldn't walk. Okay. They were trying to diagnose me with MS. They were trying to diagnose me with a brain lesion.
And were they talking to you saying, oh, did you have the vaccine? Or was it like the elephant in the room?
Oh, so no. They asked me, but not until the 3rd stay did they actually treat me like a human being. And even then, it was only one doctor. I was treated completely different by you. Let's put it this way: you could tell who believed me and who thought I was crazy.
So, what's the biggest change in your life since pre-vaccine and post-vaccine?
Change in my life physically,
The
but I'd say
seizures? Are you still
mentally,
having seizures? I mean, are you smoking
no. So it
marijuana?
wasn't.
Are you taking any like medicine? I mean, I would
Oh
smoke
yeah,
weed. That's what I would do. But I mean, I wouldn't be
I'm
drinking.
on.
Are you
I'm
drinking?
taking CBD.
Yeah.
I'm on ivermectin.
Oh, so you
Um,
are taking ivermectin. Wait, wow. Wait, really, Brittany? That's pretty intense. So what is the protocol on
yeah,
ivermectin?
I'm on day 4. I take 5.5 pills per day for 5 days, and then I'm going to take 5.5 for 5 days, or 5.5 once a week for 2 weeks after I finish the 5 days. So I'm on the fourth day. I took the fourth day today, so tomorrow's my fifth day. Um,
And
and
you're
I took
hoping to rid
hydroxychloroquine too.
and you're hoping to rid the virus of the vaccine with the ivermectin? What's the point of the ivermectin?
Yeah, they're what they told me is that they're hoping it'll, get rid of or calm down the spike proteins.
That's hardcore. So what doctor they gave you ivermectin because they can't really prescribe that. So did they say in your I mean I know it's HIPAA you can
They
only say
prescribed it. It came from a pharmacy.
yeah, I know, but I'm saying like your doctor had to be some special doctor. Like I thought doctors weren't even allowed to prescribe it because from what I understand, well, from what I understand is I know some doctors were and they were getting in trouble, but they can't say that ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine is a suitable cure for it because then they wouldn't be able to have the emergency use authorization if there's any sort of other cure. So that's why they have to be like
Right.
so anti-ivermectin and anti-hydroxychloroquine. So it's just like big pharma. And so did you know Big Pharma is, charges $200 for insulin in America and $2 in Mexico, and that they rip us off? Or did you trust Big Pharma before this?
No, I never trusted Big Pharma. So that's the funniest part about my story is that, like I told you, I was all pro mask because I got COVID, but I've never been a fan of Big Pharma. I've actually been pro weed myself.
Yeah.
I had a medical card. I let
They
it
say it's
lapse.
good for your respiratory. They said it's good for people that haven't had COVID, the people that smoke weed. But this is
I'll tell you, it's really good for
we don't.
autoimmune.
Yeah, we don't encourage anybody to do anything, but we're all consenting adults. We can do what we
Yeah.
want in our own time. Okay, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, so I mean, I've never been pro Big Pharma, but I'm hoping that these medicines, I know the hydroxychloroquine works because when I had COVID and I was in the hospital, it's the only thing that changed. I had azithromycin, zinc. It was like a mix. I had zinc, azithromycin, hydroxychloroquine, vitamins A, C, and D is what they gave me in hospital. And within 24 hours of having that, I was starting on the mend after being sick for 6 to 8 weeks. So when the doctors told me that I could try ivermectin, and my mom was like, I give that to my horses. Why would you take that? It's a deworming medicine. I give it to my horses. And I'm like, I don't really care. I'm going to deworm my body. Like,
That's so weird. Wait, keep going, but you need a dewormer. This is insane, Brittany. Listen to what you're saying. Keep going.
I
just
know,
can't believe it.
but you know what? I also just walked across my kitchen and living room, and I walked into Publix today, and I wasn't doing that days ago.
So
I was in a wheelchair this time last week.
it's showing promise. And you're out of the wheelchair, but it's like weird to think. I wonder how ivermectin works and how it applies to what the vaccine did to you. Like, what is it wiping out of your body? You know what I
The
mean?
spike proteins.
Yeah,
They
but
told me verbatim that they're coming after the spike proteins like Pac-Man.
and so I wonder if it will. Do they? I guess you don't know, but I wonder if it'll take away all the ill effects of the vaccine because,
I don't know. I was thinking of that. I'm like, okay, so it works now, but what happens because the spike proteins supposedly, rebuild and multiply. So what happens when I get better and then they come back? Like I don't know. I don't know the answers to that. I plan to ask him. We're talking tomorrow. I talk to my doctor tomorrow, so I plan to
Oh,
ask.
what a bummer. I just can't believe that this has happened to you. Somebody that's trying to do the right thing. That's the saddest thing is that really we're doing 100% what you thought was the right thing. Did you before you
Yeah.
did it? Were you skeptical at all, or were you just not one bit
No, I was
worried?
definitely skeptical.
You
I
were.
put it off and I put it off and I put it off. And I was like stomping like a little brat in the middle of Publix. Like Publix is a grocery store here. And
I'm very familiar with the pub subs. I love a sub sandwich
pub
from Publix.
subs for
Yes,
sure.
yes,
So
yes.
then, the pharmacies in there are like, hardcore. So I went in there and I was like, they're like, oh, there's two people in front of you. I was like, And I looked right at the two people. I was like, if I don't go before them, I'm walking out of here. Like and they did. They sat me down and I never had informed consent. Like they never went over anything with me. I actually filled out a form stating that I had issues. Like I circled that I had immunosuppressants, and bold letter says if you marked yes for any of this, you have to talk with your pharmacist before being vaccinated. Nobody ever spoke to me. They just injected.
No, it's because the emergency use authorization. It's hard to say that they don't care. They just are so eager, and they get kickbacks. Every pharmacy, they want to be able to say they injected somebody.